Good day, ladies and gentlemen. This is Sarel van Grenen, aka Mr. VG, and I'm excited for this last video on mathematical reasoning. Specifically, today we are going to look at practical examples of the three basic approaches. So buckle up, get your cape on, and let's get going. Let's do a quick revision on the three types of approaches we are going to have. First of all, the GUNG-HO approach, which is where you run into the problem. Secondly, mining, where you dig and you dig and you dig and you dig until you get to the bottom of where you want to go. Thirdly, the monkey behind the mountains, my personal favorite, because that's the one where we analyze where we want to go and break it up into those mountains that stand in your way, those obstacles. Let's start with the first example, the GUNG-HO approach. Now, the GUNG-HO approach is fantastic when we have emergencies. Now, when we have emergencies and there's not a lot of time to think, there's not a lot of time to analyze a situation, you just have to run into it. Just like these two videos, let's look at them. Oh my goodness! What did that dad do? He just jumped out, saved his kids from that car without thinking. That's the power of the GUNG-HO approach. It can save lives. Second video. Whoa, that dad was awesome! But there's a little bit of a secret to this. The secret is the following. The dad understood if the kid kept running, he would run straight in front of the car and there'd be big issues. So you have to first of all understand the scenario before you can just dig into it. Now, these videos were found in this specific YouTube link. Google Super Dads. Man, it's amazing sometimes what the GUNG-HO approach can do. Now, this next two scenarios I'm going to look at is where we are going to start going from mining. So we're going to start with the issues and what's happening, and we're going to go over to the monkey behind the mountains. Now, where would this actually be applicable? Well, first of all, when there are big problems. Let's say the school finds drugs on a kid. Then they've got to start digging. Where's the drugs coming from, etc., etc., etc. You know, where did the kid get it? How many kids are involved? And then they've got to try and solve it. But I'm going to specifically look at human problems. That's what you and I face on a daily basis. So let's take an example of two ladies fighting. Doesn't have to be ladies, but any people that fight. Well, you're going to first of all dig. So you're going to ask yourself, what is going on, really? After you've found what's going on and you've kind of split the two parties up and you've heard from both parties, then you've got to start thinking, but what is the end goal? In other words, what is the monkey? Well, we want to sort out the issues. Maybe. And here's the thing. You need to be clear about the end goal. The clearer your end goal, the better chance you have of actually succeeding. Then we've got to look at the mountains. Well, what mountains can stand in the way of sorting out these issues? First of all, there could be communication barriers. Maybe, for one person it's a first language, English, for the other person it's a second or third language, and maybe they use the wrong words in the wrong context and some person got offended. Maybe some people, they're jumping to conclusions. You've got to first sort out communication. Maybe there's some ideological issues that are involved, and this is a big issue in this life. Maybe there's mixed expectations about a scenario. One person thought the other person is going to do A, B, and C, but the other person didn't do it. not on purpose, but they didn't realize that the other person had expectations. Lastly, you've got to kind of look, what is a way forward and work together for that way forward. Get clear, what is the way forward? Sometimes it means walking away from a friendship. That's a sad day that happens when two people realize, we're just not compatible. But that for me is the last option is, let's walk away. So I always want to try and save it. Ladies and gents, the last little bit of this video is going to go about going from the issues to finding out why the issues are there. So let's start off with going from the monkey behind the mountains to mining. When we go from a monkey behind the mountains to mining, a very, very big thing that happens is a huge scenario can be broken down into smaller little pieces, like when you do projects. Let's take an example of you want to start a recycling project in your area around your house. Well, what do you really want to do? You want to recycle material. Maybe you want to clean up the area. Well, you've got to find what is the monkey. What do you really, really, really want to do? Then you've got to start looking at the mountains. Now, my bit of advice to you is work together with people to find these mountains. Now, the mountains that you can look at is, for instance, people to drive this project. Placement of the bins. Maybe you want to get a company that does the recycling. Where are you going to get the recycling bins from? Here's a biggie. There may be laws and rules or bylaws that govern where recycling happens and how it is allowed to be happen. You need community buy-in. What about the current recyclers? What about those guys that walk down the streets with their big trolley bins and they collect because for them, that is their way of life? If you just go and plonk, recycling bins, you take over their job, you are definitely not going to be a very much liked person. You might even get some riots. Your house may be vandalized. Who knows? But this is the thing. The better you are at breaking this project into the mountains, the bigger chance you have of success. But after you've now identified all the mountains, it's time for you to dig in, to go and find, all the information you need about all the different obstacles, and try and maybe even for every obstacle, do a separate thing. Give people responsibility because you cannot do this alone. Ladies and gentlemen, I know that I may make this sound very easy, but I only have a few minutes to share this with you. The power of this video is you going out, saving the world, doing those projects, helping people to bridge gaps, solving issues for people, or not for people, but help people to solve their own issues. I want to end off this series and say, please, superheroes, go and be awesome. Get your training in. And if you're struggling, if you've got a project that's maybe too big, come and ask. Maybe me, your teacher, maybe a tutor, maybe someone in your area, a community leader to help you drive these projects. Because you are not alone. Ladies and gents, have an awesome, wonderful rest of your day. Go and be amazing. Cheers.